Boom, doom, boom, boom.
That rhythm,
Can you hear it?
it is visceral. I mean, it sends a shiver right down the spine.
Yeah.
It's the sound of a heartbeat right before it stops. Or maybe the sound of a steel trap snapping shut on a wolf's leg.
It's the drums, that specific, relentless, just headache-inducing rhythm from the musicians up in the gallery at the Twins.
The worst wedding band in history.
Absolutely the worst.
Yeah.
We are starting right in the deep end today because, well, frankly, we have to. We are talking about rain weeping over gray castle halls.
Right.
We are talking about a wedding feast that turns from a nervous celebration of unity into absolute slaughter in the blink of an eye.
And we are talking about the precise moment the so-called Game of Thrones stopped being a clever game of political maneuvering
Yeah.
and became a story about the total horrifying collapse of social order.
Exactly. The central question we are grappling with today is terrifyingly simple. And it hangs over every single page of this source material.
It really does.
In a world where honor is a liability, literally a death sentence in some cases, and brutality is the only thing that seems to get rewarded, can a good person actually survive?
That is the core of it. Because it's not just about who sits on that pointy iron throne anymore. It's about the breaking of sacred laws, the shattering of guest right,
Right.
and the realization that while these kings are squabbling over a chair, there is a supernatural threat encroaching from the frozen north that renders all of their politics completely meaningless.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are taking on the absolute behemoth. We're unpacking A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin.
The big one.
This is widely considered the high water mark of the Song of Ice and Fire series, and for good reason. I mean, if you thought the first two books were intense, this is the one that leaves actual scars.
It is the book where the table gets flipped.
Oh,
If the previous books were about setting up the pieces, the knights, the pawns, the kings, moving them into position, this is the book where the author just takes a sledgehammer to the board and sends the pieces flying.
we have a massive stack of source material to get through today. Chapters from the book, maps of the North and South, character breakdowns, and all that historical context.
It's a lot to cover.
It is. Our mission is to view this sprawling narrative in three distinct acts for you. We're going to look at the problem, which is the disintegration of the Stark cause and the collapse of order.
The political decay.
Exactly. Then we move to the struggle, which is the internal reconstruction of identity for characters like Jaime Lannister and Jon Snow, people who really have to figure out who they are when their world breaks.
And finally, the insight. That terrifying realization of what the true enemy actually is beyond the wall. I'm really ready to analyze how the concept of the traditional fantasy hero is set up only to be dismantled in the most brutal ways imaginable.
And I'm ready for the cinematic battles, the duels, and the plot twists that make me want to throw the book across the room.
And then immediately run to pick it up again.
Exactly. Let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into part one. The death of kings and the collapse of order.
Let's set the stage here, or the state of play, as it were. The War of the Five Kings is raging, but the dynamic has shifted fundamentally since the last book.
It's chaos, but a specific kind of chaos. It's a stalemate that is starting to rot from the inside.
Right.
You've got Stannis Baratheon, who we last saw getting absolutely crushed at the Battle of the Blackwater. He's brooding on Dragonstone. He's got no fleet, very few men, and he's basically licking his wounds in the dark.
Stannis is fascinating here because he's technically beaten, but he refuses to break. The text describes him as pure iron, hard and strong but brittle. Iron breaks before it bends.
Yeah.
Stannis is isolated, he's bitter, and he's surrounded by sycophants who tell him what he wants to hear, except for one man, of course. Davos Seaworth, the Onion Knight.
Davos is the moral compass of the whole operation. But Stannis is listening to another voice too, Melisandre, the Red Woman.
Exactly. And then you have Balon Greyjoy, who has crowned himself King of the Isles in the north. He's raiding the coast, burning villages, being a massive nuisance, but not really a ruler. He's more of a scavenger.
A vulture picking at the corpse of the kingdom. And then there's Robb Stark, the young wolf, the king in the north. On paper, he looks great.
He really does.
He's winning every battle. He's never been defeated in the field. But if you look closer at the maps and the alliances, he's actually losing the war.
That's the tragedy of Robb Stark. And it's a key insight for you as the listener. You can be the perfect hero on the battlefield. Brave, brilliant, tactically. But if you fail the political game, you bleed.
Yeah.
And Robb is bleeding bad. He's lost the support of the Karstarks, which is a huge chunk of his army, because he executed Lord Karstark for treason.
And let's remind everyone why he did that. Lord Karstark murdered 2 Lannister prisoners, Boys, really, just out of vengeance for his own sons.
Yeah.
Robb decided that justice was more important than strategy, so he took Karstark's head.
He chose the law over the army. It's an honorable choice, but a fatal one. And then he made an even bigger mistake. He lost the phrase.
The big one.
This is the massive one. He was promised to a Frey girl in exchange for crossing the bridge at the Twins back in Book 1, but he married Jane Westerling instead.
Because he slept with her in a moment of grief after finding out his younger brothers were supposedly dead. And he didn't want to dishonor her by leaving her as a ruined woman.
Right.
Again, Robb chooses personal honor,
Mm-hmm.
not wanting to father a bastard or shame a girl, over political necessity. He's his father's son through and through. He thinks doing the right thing will protect him.
Meanwhile, Joffrey is sitting on the Iron Throne, more emboldened than ever because his grandfather Tywin is finally there to back him up. But I want to zoom in on Stannis for a second.
Sure.
Before we get to the battles, there's this scene on Dragonstone that really sets the tone for the supernatural element of this war. It involves leeches.
The leech ritual.
Yeah.
It's repulsive, but it's so crucial to understanding the mindset here.
It's incredibly creepy. Stannis, Melisandre, and Davos Seaworth. They aren't using armies in this scene. They're using blood magic. They have Edric Storm, one of Robert Baratheon's bastards, effectively held prisoner at Dragonstone.
And Melisandre is just obsessed with King's blood. She believes there is inherent literal power in the bloodline of kings. She doesn't need to kill the boy yet. She just needs a little bit of that blood.
Yeah.
She puts leeches on the boy, lets them gorge themselves until they're fat and bursting, and then Stannis throws them into a brazier.
And as he burns them, watching them pop in the flames, he names the usurpers. It's a curse. The usurper Joffrey Baratheon. The usurper Balon Greyjoy. The usurper Robb Stark.
It's a fascinating exploration of power and belief. Because Stannis is skeptical. You can tell in the text he doesn't really want to do it. He feels like it's beneath him. Like magic is a cheater's weapon.
Exactly.
But Melisandre is absolute in her certainty. And the question the book asks us is, does the magic actually work?
Right. Because shortly after this ritual, over the course of the book, these kings do start to fall, one by one. Is it causation? Did the leeches kill them? Or did Melisandre just foresee their mundane deaths in the flames and use the ritual to claim credit to manipulate Stannis?
That ambiguity is classic Martin. He never gives you the instruction manual for the magic system.
Okay.
But let's talk about the first domino to fall. The big one. The event that changed fantasy literature forever.
Here we go.
The Red Wedding.
The definitive turning point.
Even knowing it's coming, even if you've seen the show, read the spoilers online, reading the source material is heavy. It physically weighs on you.
Yeah.
It's told from Catelyn Stark's perspective, which makes it so much worse because she is the most politically astute person in the room.
She sees it.
She sees it coming just a few seconds too late.
The setup is masterful. Martin lulls you into this false sense of security. It's a wedding. There's food. There's wine. Robb has apologized to Walder Frey. Edmure Tully is marrying Rosalind Frey.
Everything looks fine.
It seems like the bridge is mended. The Freys are being grumpy, sure, but they are eating and drinking with the Starks. Guest right has been established.
But the atmosphere is wrong. Catelyn notes the food is mediocre. The wine is bad. But mostly the music. The musicians are terrible. They're just pounding these drums.
Boom, doom, boom, doom. It's auditory foreshadowing. It's not music. It's a war march disguised as a celebration. And the dog, Grey Wind, he's howling outside. He absolutely refuses to enter the Twins. He's snapping at the Freys.
Animals always know in this series, if the direwolf doesn't like the vibe, you should probably run.
And then the song changes. The musicians start playing The Rains of Castamere. We need to explain why that matters to the listener. That isn't just a sad song. It is the Lannister anthem.
Right.
It's a song about Tywin Lannister completely obliterating House Reign because they rebelled against him. It's a song about genocide.
Playing that at a wedding hosted by the Freys.
Yeah.
That is the signal. It's a threat set to music.
Yeah.
It's Tywin Lannister essentially signing his name on the event.
Precisely. And then the wedding ceremony happens. This is a bawdy Westerosi tradition where the guests carry the bride and groom to the bedroom to witness the consummation. It clears the hall of most of the innocent bystanders and the Stark loyalists who are drunk.
Yeah.
And Catelyn is left at the table with Edwin Frey. She grabs his arm to make a joke, and she feels it.
The chainmail under his silk sleeve.
That moment gives me chills every time. Edwin, she says, why are you in mail? And he shoves her away. The music stops.
And then the massacre begins. Crossbows from the gallery. It's a slaughterhouse. But it's the dialogue that really twists the knife. Roose Bolton, one of Robb's own bannermen, steps up to Robb, who's already been shot, who is standing there in shock, and Bolton drives a sword through his heart.
Jaime Lannister sends his regards.
That line is the ultimate betrayal. It signifies that this wasn't just Walder Frey being petty about a broken marriage pact. This was orchestrated by Tywin Lannister. It's a calculated political hit.
And it's not just betrayal. It's the sheer desecration. They kill Catelyn, cutting her throat after she goes completely mad with grief. They kill the direwolf, Grey Wind, and then, in a detail that is truly grotesque, they sew the wolf's head onto Robb's decapitated body and parade it around.
Why go that far? That's the key question. Why not just kill him and be done with it?
They do it to kill the legend. It's the death of the traditional fantasy hero. In most stories, the honorable hero who fights for justice wins. Robb Stark played by the rules. He trusted it, guessed right, the ancient law that says if you eat a man's bread and salt, you are safe under his roof.
Guest right isn't just a rule, is it? It's a sacred taboo. Breaking is worse than murder in Westeros. It's cursing yourself before the gods. It is the collapse of civilization.
Exactly. Martin is telling us the rules don't protect you. In fact, relying on the rules is exactly what gets you killed. Walder Frey and Tywin Lannister exploited Robb's honor. They weaponized his trust.
It shifts the entire worldview of the listener. If Robb can die, if the main character, the hero, the good guy, can be butchered at a wedding, no one is safe. The social contract is broken. The world feels chaotic and meaningless. But the universe has a strange way of balancing the scales, doesn't it?
It does.
Because not long after, we get another wedding.
The Purple Wedding. Joffrey Baratheon and Margaery Tyrell.
The vibe here is totally different. It's opulent. It's grand. It's in King's Landing. There's a giant pie filled with live doves, for crying out loud.
Which is such a weird, excessive detail, but it highlights the decadence of the capital while the rest of the realm starves.
And Joffrey is just being Joffrey. He is at peak villainy here. He's humiliating Tyrion. He dumps wine on his head. He brings out these dwarf jousters to mock his uncle. He's chopping up a rare book Tyrion gave him with his new sword, Widow's Wail. He just wants someone to punch him.
And then someone does better than punch him. He chokes.
It's chaotic. He takes a drink of wine, eats some of the pigeon pie, and suddenly he can't breathe. He's clawing at his throat. His face turns purple, hence the Purple Wedding.
And Cersei, in her grief and rage, immediately points the finger at Tyrion. But look at the contrast in the deaths. Robb died standing, betrayed but facing his enemy, holding his dead wife. Joffrey dies clawing at his own neck, terrified, helpless, literally drooling on the floor.
One is a tragedy. The other feels like long-awaited retribution. But both of them create these massive power vacuums. The War of the Five Kings basically ends with almost all the kings dead.
Right.
Renly is gone, Robb is gone, Joffrey is gone. Balon Greyjoy falls off a bridge in a storm.
Stannis is the only one left standing, really, and he's miles away. The board has been wiped clean, but it's not peace. It's just a different kind of chaos.
Which brings us to our second act, identity crisis. Because while the kings are dying, the characters who survive are being forced to completely reinvent themselves. And no one goes through a bigger deconstruction than Jaime Lannister.
This is, in my opinion, one of the most remarkable character arcs in fantasy literature. At the start of this book, Jaime is the villain, plain and simple. He's the Kingslayer. He pushed Bran out of a window. He's arrogant. He is the archetype of the darker side of nobility. Beautiful, but completely rotten.
And then Martin takes away the one thing that defines him.
His sword hand. The right hand. He's captured by Vargo Hoat and the brave companions, the Bloody Mummers. These are sellswords. You don't care about his name or his gold. And in a moment of sheer brutality, just to send a message to Tywin, they chop his hand off.
The source text describes it so vividly. The stump, the rotting flesh smell, the leather tied around it. Jaime realizes that without that hand, he's nothing. His entire identity was Sir Jaime, the best swordsman in the realm. Who is he now?
He's a cripple. That's how he sees himself. He wants to die. He basically gives up. But Brienne of Tarth, who is escorting him, won't let him. She forces him to keep living. She mocks his self-pity. And this loss forces him to use his voice instead of his sword. It forces him to be vulnerable. And that leads to the bathhouse scene at Harrenhal.
This scene, this is the aha moment of the book for me. He's sitting in the tub, feverish, half delirious, and he finally tells the truth about why he killed the Mad King Aerys.
It changes everything we thought we knew. Everyone calls him Kingslayer and Oathbreaker because he stabbed the king he swore to protect. But he reveals that Aerys had placed wildfire caches all underneath King's Landing. The king was going to burn the entire city, men, women, children, just to spite Robert Baratheon. Burn them all, he said.
So Jaime didn't kill him for power. He didn't do it for his father. He killed him to save the city. He committed the most heroic act of the rebellion, saving 500,000 people from being cooked alive, and his reward, a lifetime of being called a monster.
Precisely. It challenges the listener's perception of honor. Jaime had conflicting vows. Keep his oath to the king or keep his oath to protect the innocent. You can't do both, he asked Brienne. So many vows. They make you swear and swear. Obey the king, obey your father, protect the innocent, defend the weak. But what if the king despises the innocent?
It's a fantastic philosophical question. Is he a monster? Or is he the only true knight in a corrupt system? Because he chose the spirit of the oath over the letter of it.
And yet, he never told anyone. He let Ned Stark judge him. He let the world hate him. That is a heavy burden. It's the tragedy of reputation versus reality.
Speaking of monsters and reputation, we have to talk about his brother, Tyrion. If Jaime is the handsome monster, Tyrion is the ugly one who actually tries to do good but gets punished for it anyway.
Tyrion becomes the ultimate scapegoat in this book. After Joffrey dies, Cersei is convinced Tyrion did it. He's put on trial, and it is a farce. Every witness twists his words. But the ultimate betrayal comes from Shae.
That hurts so much to read. Shae, the woman he loved, the woman he tried to protect, stands up in court and mocks him. She calls him my giant of Lannister. She uses their private, intimate moments, the things he whispered to her in bed, to humiliate him in front of the whole court. It absolutely breaks him.
It hardens him. He realizes that no matter how smart he is or how well he played the game as Hand of the King, he will always be the imp to them. So he demands a trial by combat. And who steps up? Not a friend, but Prince Oberyn Martell, the Red Viper of Dorne.
Oberyn is such a cool character. He bursts onto the scene in this book like a firework. He doesn't really care about Tyrion. He wants vengeance. He wants to fight the Mountain Gregor Clegane because the Mountain raped and murdered his sister, Elia, years ago.
The duel is highly cinematic. It's speed versus size, the Viper versus the Mountain. Oberyn is using a spear, dancing around this armored behemoth. He's taunting him. He actually wins the fight, tactically speaking. He has the Mountain on the ground, pinned with a spear right through the chest.
But he gets cocky. He needs the confession. He keeps screaming, "Say her name, Elia of Dorne." He stands over the mountain, waiting for the words. He gets too close.
And that hubris is his downfall. It's a trope subversion again. The hero has won, he's about to get justice, and then the villain reaches out, grabs him, punches his teeth out, and crushes his skull. It's unbelievably gruesome.
And the Mountain confesses as he does it. Elia of Dorne, he says as he smashes Oberyn's face in. I killed her children. Then I raped her. Then I smashed her head in. Like this.
It is absolute horror. Tyrion is sentenced to death. But he doesn't die. Jaime breaks him out.
But this isn't a happy reunion at all. This is where the brothers break apart. Jaime, riddled with guilt, admits something devastating. Tysha, Tyrion's first wife, the girl he thought was a prostitute, hired by Jaime to make him feel like a man. She was actually just a crofter's daughter who really loved Tyrion. Tywin forced Jaime to lie about it.
This destroys Tyrion. The one time he was truly loved, it was real, and his family took it from him and turned it into a trauma. Tyrion is furious. He strikes Jaime. He tells Jaime that he did kill Joffrey just to hurt him, and then he climbs up to his father's chambers.
He finds Shae in Tywin's bed. That's the final straw. He kills her. He strangles her with the hand of the king's chain. It's a dark, dark turn. And then he finds Tywin on the privy.
The mighty Tywin Lannister, caught with his breeches down. Tyrion has a crossbow.
And they have this final conversation. Tywin still can't respect him. He calls Tysha a whore one last time.
And Tyrion pulls the trigger. Lord Tywin Lannister did not, in the end, shit gold.
It's the total deconstruction of House Lannister. Tywin spent his whole life building a legacy, obsessed with the family name, and he is destroyed by the son he hated the most. The son who was actually most like him.
It's downright Shakespearean. But while all this family drama is happening in the capital, the real threat, the one that makes all of this look like child's play, is waking up in the north. Let's move to part 3. The true threat.
We have to go back to the prologue. The book starts at the Fist of the First Men, beyond the wall. We're with the Night's Watch.
And it's not heroic. We're with Chet, who is a kennel master. He's petty, he's angry, he's got boils on his neck, he represents the ugliness of the Watch. He's planning a mutiny. He wants to kill Jorah Mormont just so he can run away to Craster's Keep.
He's standing there freezing, the dogs are whimpering, and he's thinking about murdering his brothers. And then 3 blasts.
1 blast for Rangers returning, 2 for wildlings, 3 for others.
That sound, it hasn't been heard in thousands of years.
Yeah.
The White Walkers. The Whites. The description is horrifying. The cold that comes with them isn't just weather, it's a presence. The dogs won't track, the bears are dead, the mutiny falls apart because everyone is just trying to survive.
And amidst the slaughter, we get Samwell Tarly, Sir Piggy, the coward, the boy who cries. He's stumbling through the snow, dragging his feet, and he encounters another, a White Walker.
And he does the impossible. He stabs it, not with steel, but with a dagger made of dragonglass, obsidian, that Jon gave him earlier.
And the other just melts. A puddle of mother's milk. It's a massive technical revelation for the world. They can be killed. Ancient technology dragonglass is their kryptonite. Sam, the least likely hero, becomes Sam the Slayer.
It underscores the theme. While the kings play their Game of Thrones, the apocalypse is starting. And the only people standing in the way are the outcasts.
Speaking of outcasts, Jon Snow is deep undercover. He's with the wildlings, the free folk. And this is where we see the culture clash.
Jon has been raised to believe the wildlings are savage raiders. But he meets Mance Raider, the king beyond the wall. He meets Tormund Giantsbane. And he meets Ygritte. He realizes they are just people. They call the people south of the wall kneelers. They don't follow kings. They follow strength.
And the relationship with Ygritte. You know nothing, Jon Snow. That refrain is so iconic. But it's not just a catchphrase. It's her telling him that his worldview, his Ned Stark worldview, is narrow. He knows nothing about freedom, about life, about how the real world works outside of a castle.
The climb up the wall is a spectacular set piece. The physical struggle, the ice cracking. But the emotional climax is when Jon has to make a choice. He's with Ygritte, they've crossed the wall, but he knows they're going to attack Castle Black.
He has to choose between his duty to the Watch and his love for Ygritte. It mirrors the theme we saw with Jaime, in a way. Honor versus love. Duty versus heart. Jon chooses duty, he escapes. He leaves her behind. It breaks his heart, but he rides back to warn the Watch.
And the ensuing battle for the wall is intense. You've got a skeleton crew defending against a massive army of giants, mammoths, and wildlings.
We have to mention Donal Noye here, the one-armed blacksmith. He holds the gate against Mag the Mighty, the king of the giants. They find them later. Mag is dead, and Donal Noye is crushed. But he's got his sword buried in the giant's throat. They died together. It's a hero's death for a minor character, reminding us that heroism is everywhere, not just with the main characters.
And Jon takes command. He's using scarecrow sentinels, straw men dressed in black cloaks, to make it look like they have more men than they do. But they're about to be overrun. It's over. And then a horn blasts.
But not a Night's Watch horn.
It's Stannis. Stannis Baratheon arrives.
Out of nowhere, he brings his knights, he flanks the wildling host. It's a pincer movement. The knights in steel smashing into the wildling ranks.
Why is Stannis there? He was at Dragonstone, burning leeches.
This is the critical shift for Stannis. Davos read him a letter from the Night's Watch, asking for help. All the other kings ignored it. Joffrey ignored it. Robb was too busy. Stannis is the only king who answered the call.
He says that line that defines his arc. I was trying to win the throne to save the kingdom, when I should have been saving the kingdom to win the throne.
That is the definition of kingship in Martin's world. It's not about rights or bloodlines. It's about protection. Stannis realizes that being a king means being the shield.
While Stannis is saving the north, Daenerys is thousands of miles away in the east, becoming a conqueror.
Her arc in A Storm of Swords is explosive. She starts in Astapor, a city of slavers. She wants to buy the Unsullied, eunuch slave soldiers known for their absolute discipline.
The slavers are awful. They insult her in Valyrian, thinking she doesn't understand. But she's a Targaryen. Valyrian is her mother tongue.
The moment she reveals that is glorious. She agrees to trade one of her dragons for the entire army. The slaver takes the dragon's chain, and then she says, Dracarys.
Dragonfire to the face. The dragon burns the slaver. The Unsullied turn on their masters. She breaks the chains.
But notice the shift in her character. It's not just about liberation. It's about justice, and her justice is harsh. She has her own identity crisis within her inner circle. Arstan Whitebeard, the old squire who has been following her, reveals himself to be Barristan Selmy. Barristan the Bold, the greatest knight of his age.
But at the same time, Jorah Mormont, her closest advisor, is exposed as a spy. He was sending reports to King's Landing back in Book 1.
And here we see Dany steal. She accepts Barristan's service, but she exiles Jorah. Even though he loves her, even though he saved her, she cannot forgive the betrayal. She's become a queen who makes hard, isolating choices. She conquers Meereen, but she decides to stay and rule rather than sail for Westeros. She needs to learn how to be a queen, not just a conqueror.
So we have the north in chaos, the east in flames. But there's a fourth element weaving through all of this. The mystic elements. the Lord of Light.
We saw it with Stannis, but we see a different side of it in the Riverlands, with the Brotherhood without banners.
Arya Stark runs into these guys. They are led by Beric Dondarrion and Thoros of Myr. They are Robin Hood figures protecting the small folk. And Beric isn't quite right.
He's dead. Well, he's been dead 6 times.
Arya watches the Hound kill him in a trial by combat. Clegane slices him almost in half, and then Thoros prays and Beric gets up.
But there's a cost. This is crucial for the magic system. Beric says he loses memories every time. He's less than he was. He's fading. He's becoming a firewhite, essentially. He asks Thoros, "Are you my mother, Thoros?" Because he can't remember his real mother.
And this leads to the ultimate twist of the book, the epilogue.
The Brotherhood finds a body washed up on the riverbank. It's Catelyn Stark. She's been dead for days. Her throat is cut. She's waterlogged.
Thoros refuses to resurrect her. He says she's been dead too long. She's too far gone. So Beric does it. He gives his life for hers. The flame passes from him to her.
And Lady Stoneheart rises. But this is not Catelyn Stark. This is a vengeance demon. She can't speak because her throat is slashed, so she has to hold the wound closed to make a sound. She's consumed by hate. She starts hanging Freys, hanging anyone associated with the Lannisters.
It brings everything full circle.
Hmm?
We started with the death of honor at the Red Wedding. Now, the victim of that wedding has returned, but she has stripped away all mercy. She is pure retribution.
And that connects to Melisandre's prophecy. She talks about the prince that was promised, Azor Ahai. She claims it's Stannis. She points to his sword, Lightbringer.
But Maester Aemon at the wall points out something crucial. He asks Sam, "Did you feel the heat?"
And Sam says no. The sword glows, but it has no heat. Aemon says the true Lightbringer should radiate heat. It implies Stannis is a false savior, a decoy.
Which raises the question, if it's not Stannis, is it the boy with the real dragons,
Yep,
or the boy on the wall fighting the dead?
The book leaves that open, but it firmly establishes that magic is back, and it is dangerous. It requires sacrifice. Only death can pay for life.
So we've deconstructed the kings, the heroes, and even death itself. What does this all mean for you as a reader?
If we look back at the scram, the landscape has changed completely. The old guard, Tywin Lannister, Robb Stark, Jorah Mormont, they are gone.
And the new generation, Jon, Dany, Sansa, Arya, they are left to pick up the pieces. But the world they are inheriting is darker. It's more magical. It's more brutal.
Exactly. The Game of Thrones distracted everyone from the real threat. And now winter is almost here.
I want to leave you with a thought to mull over. In this book, George R.R. Martin writes that words are wind. Oaths are broken constantly. The only people who seem to get anything done are the ones who break the rules. Jaime killing the king, Dany tricking the slavers, Tyrion killing his father.
It raises a provocative question. To survive a storm of swords, does one have to become a monster? Or is there hope in those small acts of defiance? Like Sam facing an other. Or Davos Seaworth saving one boy Edric Storm against a king's orders.
Maybe that's the only honor left. Not the big oaths, but the small choices to do what's right, even if it's treason.
If I must sacrifice one child to the flames to save 1,000,000 from the dark, sacrifice is never easy, Davos. Or it is no true sacrifice. That is the moral precipice we are left standing on.
And on that cheerful note, read the book. Seriously. We summarize the plot, but you need to be inside Tyrion's head for the wit, inside James' head for the pain. The deep dive can only show you the map. The book is the territory.
Winter is coming.
And the dead come with it. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Bye-bye.